My name is Maria Luisa, and today I have the special privilege of coming to you not only as a member of TASSC. Since 1998, my mother and I and my brother are members of TASSC, but as a new field organizer with the School of the Americas Watch. For those of you who don't know, the School of the Americas is a military training school, and it's funded through our U.S. tax dollars, and it's currently based in Fort Benning, Georgia. And the role since 1946 has been to train Latin American soldiers and police in countries like the case of Costa Rica that doesn't have a military. And those who have graduated from the School of the Americas have become some of the worst human rights violators in Latin America. And even in Latin America, the school itself, School of the Americas, is known as the School of the Assassins, the School of Coups, the School of Dictators. And it's not gratuitously either. 11 dictators have gone through that school. And School of the Americas Watch, as a grassroots movement, it's one of the largest anti-militarism movements in the United States, but it's also a grassroots movement that not only is trying to close the school, but to really change the culture of militarism in this country for a culture of peace and accountability and justice. And so that's why it's really important that we're here and connecting struggles with TASSC, because in the case of the School of the Americas in 1996, when the Pentagon declassified what are now known as the torture manuals that were used at that school, it's clear and it becomes more and more evident why we need to connect our struggles. These torture manuals were used to train the soldiers in Latin America, supposedly principles of democracy and respect for human rights. And what we found is, most of the graduates have been associated with the worst massacres, extrajudicial killings, disappearances, and torture. And not only we don't only seek accountability and justice for things that have happened in the past, but the most current example of why this school needs to close today, June 28th, is actually the 5th anniversary of the coup in Honduras. And we need to remember that. We have a friend of TASSC, a member of TASSC, Nora, who's here today, who is a survivor from Honduras. But right now, since the 5-year anniversary of the coup, the situation in Honduras, currently, Honduras is the murder capital of the world, and the situation has become exacerbated. There are cases, documented cases of torture still happening today. And so when people say, oh, we need to leave the past in the past, no, we need to keep struggling. We need to connect these struggles. And it's why we're here, and it's why we stand in solidarity with survivors and with TASSC and with all of our other partner organizations. And I invite each and every one of you, if you're interested in getting more information, I'm happy to talk to you afterwards. And my colleague Hendrik Voss is here as well. And it's why we say no to torture, not for any reason at all, not ever, not in any country, and not for any reason. And it needs to end, and the School of the Americas needs to close. And this year I invite all of you to converge at the gates of Fort Benning once again. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cristina Espinel, and I'm working with the Colombia Human Rights Committee here in Washington, D.C. And we are with peace and human rights not only in Colombia, but around the world. And like the compañera said, the School of the Americas is the #1 training for people who go to our countries and torture our people. And not only in Colombia, but go around Latin America and around the world. And as a member of the Colombia Human Rights Committee, we think that torture has to disappear, because it's impossible that at this 21st century we still live like in the 14th century. And that's why we support human rights and peace and no torture anywhere in the world. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Good. Okay. My name is Catalina. I'm an immigrant from Colombia. I'm undocumented. I've been living in the U.S. undocumented for about 14 years. and right now represent an organization called Detention Watch Network. It's a network of organizations all over the country that are fighting to dismantle and put an end altogether to the immigration detention system in the U.S. As many of you have mentioned and talked already about the situation of immigration detention in this country, the U.S. has the largest immigration detention infrastructure in the world right now. And they detain and deport more people than ever before. About almost 500,000 people, immigrants, were detained last year. And about 400,000 people were deported from the U.S. last year. But we know that also detention makes part of something that's much larger happening in this country, rooted in history. The U.S. is also the largest incarcerator of the world. We incarcerate most of the U.S. population than any other country in the world, and most of its black population than South Africa did at the height of apartheid. There's private prison corporations behind this. There's a whole system that really is embedded in making profit off of everything and now making profit off of people. Behind that is obviously a system that puts profit and money at the top and accumulating that wealth for a few. And then detention and mass incarceration has become a tool for that as well, and for social control, right? For putting people that are resisting this system behind a cage. Because that's what it is. Detention, incarceration, is putting people in a cage. There's no justice in detention. There's no justice in incarceration. There's no humanity, no dignity. Therefore, there are systems that must be abolished, just as torture must be abolished. And it's such an honor to be sharing this space with you, because right now we cannot stay quiet. That's not an option right now. Just seeing the brutality of the system right now, it's not an option to stay quiet. We have to go out to the street. We have to be speaking truth of what we're seeing and what we're living. And we can only do that collectively. You know, we hold each other collectively, and we can only abolish these systems collectively. So thank you all so much for your work, and power to all of us. Thank you.